I'm talking minor hockey here now. Uh, some goalies have U13 is only one goalie in the Calgary teams. They can't be both.
Yeah.
And I remember Jacques Martin doing a goaltender clinic. He was coaching in the NHL, and his philosophy was leave him in. You got to cope with this. He didn't yank him. And then the Patrick Roy fiasco with Montreal, when they left him in for a number of goals, and he demanded a trade after that. It was the last game of his career with the Canadiens. First of all, in minor hockey, I've had conversations about the merits when you have two goalies of them learning to cope with playing or not playing based on the needs of the team and the coach's opinion. So I've just suggested, and this is theoretical, if a goalie has a hot game, they get another. Not three in a row, but they get another. So that's a reward kind of mechanism that you've earned another game, and the other goalie has a chance to do the same. And that's one way of doing it, but we find alternating goalies in minor hockey has been the best way to go. And quite often, when coaches get down to the crunch of a final championship game, they will end up staying what they perceive as their best goalie. And some of them have lost their jobs because of that. So that it's about development at that younger age. It's about learning to cope with things. So I'm curious at the minor hockey level, and then you can transfer this to the UBC level. At what point do they have to learn with somebody else is going to take your position?
Well, the first thing is that we could talk about minor hockey, and that is, you've got to introduce the goaltenders to those, to the playing time. So, for example, in minor hockey, I see value in playing goaltenders equally throughout the year. The reason we're putting too much emphasis on winning and losing at the younger levels of minor hockey and less on development of the hockey players. I think over the last 20 years, we've gotten really good at recruiting and not so good at developing. And I think that's a major issue in the minor hockey system. I'm actually writing another book based on that called Fair Game. But it's, at the minor hockey level, I want to tell them, hey, okay, guys, as a coach, I would sit down with them and say, okay, guys, do you guys want to be pulled out of a hockey game or not? And they go, I want to stay in. The other guy says, I want to stay in. Done. That's easy. One guy stays in, one guy stays in, and you move forward. If you say, hey, as a coach, I got to have some responsibility here too, because there's 17 other players we want to create a great experience on. So I'll tell you what, you'll stay in, but after a third goal in one period, you're going to be moved out by the other guys. So there's a sense of pressure, introduction of a little bit of pressure into that, because they're both 1-2s, and you got to teach them how to be a 2, and you got to teach them how to be a 1. And when you move up to the national team, or you move up to UBC on the men's and women's teams, there's going to be a team of number 1s. So now it comes down to how you're going to perform. It comes down to how long you've been with the program and how consistent your resume or your body of work has been. So you've got to be able to teach them how to be a great number 2, how to be a great number 3, and have the ability to switch from those roles really quickly. At UBC, what's worked for us is one goaltender plays on Friday, the next goaltender plays on Saturday until the break, which is December. When they come back from the break, that process is going to start again. But based on what happened in the first, I would say 2/3 of the season, you're going to be starting the goaltender that has been with the best numbers, and we compare how they were against the other teams. Because if we play Calgary on a Friday and a Saturday, I want to know who has statistically had a better performance against Calgary. So if we've played them, 6 times, I'll know who has had the better games against Calgary, and so forth. So I think that's where a little bit of analytics come in. The goalies are clear with what the expectations are, and you move on from there. And it's been really good for that program anyway. And I don't have someone going in, with no experience if someone gets hurt.
I'll tell you a story
Go ahead,
about
John.
I was coaching with Willie Desjardins, and we had a goalie. He played every game since mid-November, and we beat U of A in the final. So we go to the Nationals, and in the pregame skate, one of our forwards caught an edge, smashed into the goalie, ripped his knee up, and the other guy hadn't played since mid-November, and he had to play in the Nationals. So it's a long time to not get in the net. And we were ahead by 2 goals with 2 minutes left and lost in overtime.
Listen, I've got a question for Dave Marcoux. I'm just wondering about when they do pull a goalie, to what degree over the course of time, like, are there conversations had with the goalie coach about that potential scenario and pre-communication about how you're going to deal with it? And are the goalies involved so that when the moment happens, it's accepted, it's coped with? David, can you comment? Or is it just the coach and his whim?
Well, it's from a minor hockey standpoint, I really love the head coach, because you look at the type of goals that are being scored. Sometimes your team is completely not there, and the goalie has no chance, and you just there's goalie pulls just to make a change. The one thing that I truly would recommend to coaches, to minor hockey coaches, is to make a deal with your goalie. To make a deal that at some point we need to change things up, we need to shake things up, and if I pull you and I show you the number 1 with my finger as you're coming in, that means something. That our team is no friggin' good right now. I'm pulling you for 1 shift. You're going to sit on the bench for 1 shift, and I'm going to give the bench heck here and to say the following: guys, this goalie is going to have the chance to go back in his net after this whistle. But some of these guys here sitting on the bench, maybe you'll stay here because you're not ready to play. He was ready to play, and he's going to go back in. So you get the double whammy of motivating your team but not losing the confidence of your goalie. And I think that is not used enough in our youth hockey. And even I get that at the junior level, to have that communication and that acceptance with your goaltender, that this situation I need to shake up. I need to shake up the team here, and you're going to get to play again, but some of you are not going to play. And I just find that and the second thing also is just to consider the time of the period left, the amount of time left. If there's 1 minute left in the first period and things are really going south, just wait it out. Just wait it out and make the change when you can make a change in between periods during floods. And then you can take the time calmly to explain where are we going with this. I think that, as opposed to making, the hard-ass head coaching decision and not even talking to your goalie, but to make sure also that there's somebody at the bench that goes to talk with the goalie and taps him on the pads and say, hey, just breathe here. and from a goalie standpoint, you obviously want to teach them to never have any body language, negative body language as you're coming into the bench. That screams to your team that you're a me guy and not a we guy.
I got a question for both of you guys. Something I have to deal with tonight. Our last practice, both goalies went up to one of my assistant coaches, and they told her that was way too hard. And I wasn't really happy to hear that. So how do I deal with it? And it was a, it wasn't an exceptionally hard practice. It was a contest at the end that they really had to battle in. But what are your thoughts?
For me, it's the why. Everybody always wants to know a couple things. Why are we doing what we're doing, and how is it going to benefit me? And in your case, hey, the reason why you're the coach and you wanted to play for this hockey team is to get better. And my job is to, and I usually say the mistake started at the very beginning, because I picked you for my hockey team because you worked hard. You have all this energy, and now I've seen what you look like when you play well. So my job is to push you to play even better and more refined. And that's what you want, isn't it? Is to get better. In order for us to do that, we have to challenge ourselves, and that's why we have practices that have that level of intensity from time to time. So I think it's, for me, that becomes really important. I think a lot of the kids want to know why. At UBC, we kind of trick them, because if we want to ask, okay, how do you like to receive feedback? Direct, indirect? Do you want an email? Do you want video? Whatever. And the team decides how they like to receive feedback. Once it's decided, okay, do we have permission to give you feedback? And that's when we'd introduce, hear the message, not the tone. When you're on the bench and you're in heightened intensity and the adrenaline's flowing, sometimes you're not going to be saying, hello, Wally, just to let you know, you were offside 4 times, in the last 2 minutes. You're going to say it in a more direct, intense way. And that goes the same. Do I have permission to treat you like a young little pro? And if the answer is yes, that's why we have hard practices, because we're going to make sure that you become the best you can be.
Dave, can you comment for Tom?
Well, it's there are some controllable elements around the game of hockey, and there's some uncontrollable elements. And at times you will deal with, what I just have a visual here, the famous pig pen, where both nets are in a corner and they're just shooting pucks, and it's one-on-one battle, and goalies stay down, and it's like, that is totally not for the goalie. First of all, your net is on the wall, so the shaft of your stick cannot even go around your post and all that. But you do things because you are playing a team sport, and you want to have. That's why you want to have competitive people that just control the controllables, and they just compete in those moments. I thought, coaching in the NHL for 9 years, I thought I was not going to see the famous 5-on-0s. And every single year, every single week, there were 5-on-0 breakouts where players were coming in and just to go through their power play routes and all that, 5-on-0s. So is it realistic? No, but is it the team where power play is terrible, we need to go through our routes with the power play options and low to high, and then 2 guys at the net with no defenseman and all that? You go through times where it's like, it is what it is. You're not going to change a philosophy of a coach. So you weather that storm, you go through it, and you compete. And there are times where, yes, practices are hard. Are they realistic? You want to keep it as realistic as you can. And that's why you have a goalie coach that goes out and prepares you for those moments. But it's yeah, you don't want to show that it does affect you. If you want to only be working on your own thing in your own game, well, go play tennis or go play golf. Singles tennis, you do what you want. Single golf, you're a golfer, you go work on your game. It's all about you. But you happen to be in a team sport, and there's times that you need to get comfortable with uncomfortable, and it happens. You got to weather that storm.
Well, the thing that they seem to be upset about, it was a shootout contest. So there's two teams, and they get about 20 seconds, and it's a 2-on-0. But one team could send one to make it a 2-on-1. And if you score, you can steal the other team's puck and go. So they really have to battle on the 2-on-0, and they should get scored on. But the whole deal is, I'd like them to stay covering that 6 feet instead of sliding right out of the net and all this kind of stuff. So there's it is chaotic in a game sometime, and you're swimming. So, but then if the other guys score, they come in and they're trying to steal a puck. So now you're playing a 2-on-2. Or the smart teams, what they do is they send in one player on a breakaway and the other one goes and defends a 2-on-1 if they figure it out. And they do that. So, they really have to battle, and they really don't have that great of a chance if they're good players. But, that seemed to be what they didn't like.
Tom, here's my, in defense of the players, here's my point. I do a 3-on-0 umbrella at one end against the goalie. And the players have practiced deceptive quick puck movement and one-time shooting. Touch passing. Look one way, pass another. They should score. It's a goalie killer. So knowing that, I tell the goalies, look, this is a goalie killer. You're going to stay up, and you're not going to try to make every save. Stay square to the puck. And when I did that, they maintained their posture. They were square to pucks. They gave up goals, but they weren't psyched out and defeated by the number of goals they gave up.
Yeah, but opposite Wally, I want them battling in this one. I want them battling. I want them scrambling and,
Okay, well, my
getting under
point
control.
is, on the 3-on-0 that I'm talking about,
Well, I've seen you do it. I know what you're doing.
I'm just
It's
saying,
kind of a different thing. It's not a contest.
well, then if you tell them before the why of it, then they're going to appreciate it. This is like my evaluation of a goalie to the coach, to Dave and Pascal, is pretty simple. We expect you to make the first save. And then when you make the second, we're going to watch you. If you make the third in a row, we're likely going to keep you. And my statement to them, and Dave is using it, it's not dodgeball. That's it. It's that simple. So who battles in the net is critical. And as long as the why of your activity is communicated, they can accept that. And I think just recognizing before this could be frustrating, battle through it. That's the purpose of this. Might alleviate the negative reaction that can lead to, and I do know that your entire team needs to work harder more consistently. And that's a quality of some very talented, skilled teams. Oilers being one of them, the Leafs being another. And they've just got to work harder at the team game, pay the price more, and feel like a team contributing to the end cause. So all of this is, really critical information at any level. But if you reward the best players there's so much extra ice time that they are exhausted from long shifts. They don't recover because they're going out too often. Well, the other players are on the bench not playing. That to me has happened in the NHL too much.
Mhm.
This past playoffs, the Oilers managed the bench well. Players played roles, and the ice time minutes were far more balanced. I think that's the art of coaching, and it's all what we want to get better at. So these conversations are really, really important. So the intangibles, Tom, of what you're trying to develop with that drill, that's what it's all about for the goalies.
Yeah, if I may interject here, there is a time and place for those types of drills. If you have a number one goalie heading into the fourth round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he is your guy, you don't want him involved in that type of play, or to start a practice with a little fun drill of 3-on-3 and then pulling something and not being able to play. At this time of the year, with Tom doing that type of drill, at the minor hockey level or at a state or wherever, I think it does make sense. But again, you need to consider the when to do these drills. When are you heading on a Thursday? Are you heading into a 3-game and 3-night type of situation versus doing this on a Monday where it's more, or the terrible Tuesdays with a battle day. Dave Runback with the Bouchard Warriors would always have his terrible Tuesdays, and that would be a day where guys knew and goalies knew that you'd have these types of competitive games, and it was a hard day. But I think
it was a Tuesday.
A lot.
Tom?
It was a Tuesday practice.
Terrible Tuesday. Tom, terrible Tuesdays.
They only have 2 practices a week.
Well, this week we had 3.
Oh.
But we're not on our regular schedule yet. We have the tournament this weekend. One of my goalies from state came up to me after practice, and she just made the dinos. So she's got 3 years left, I guess, because the COVID year didn't count. So she told me she made the University of Calgary team. So she was pretty happy about that.
That's great.
Listen, I've got a point on goalies, you guys. All the goalies you talked about, you dropped the name Leonard, you dropped the Russian goalie, the Finnish goalie, and Dave, we're talking about they want the pass across. They want to play the pass receiver. And back in my era, European were taught to pass. They celebrate scoring off the pass. So European goalies have gotten good at defending scoring off the pass. And when we had Sean Burke with the national team, we had him play deep so he could move laterally. He didn't align for the shooter because the priority playing the Russians and all the European teams, international hockey, was the pass. So I'm sure you are aware, Pascal and Dave, they play a fun game at the end of practices in Europe. There might be 6 players stay out and they'll play 3-on-3. 2 goalies might stay out. And they can only score off the pass. They will celebrate scoring off the pass more than scoring in North America. So part of the adaptation to what those goalies want, that's what happens in Europe. So weighing the European versus the North American, and I guess I have one question here. You guys being Canadian goaltending experts is does it appear, or am I generalizing too much? Why are the best goalies appearing to come from European countries?
Well, for me, like I said, the main objective why